Jason Howell wants me to call the meeting to order, so we're going to call this meeting to order. Yeah. And I'm happy to say today we're going to throw him out. And I just had to give away the senior status. Yeah. Well, I ain't got much longer to live. You better get me while I can. That's what my wife said. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Senator Funky Fromeyer.
Present.
Senator Howell. Senator Webb. Representative Herron.
Here.
Representative Petrie.
Here.
Representative Thomas.
Present.
Co-Chair Fraser Gordon.
Here.
Chair Girdler.
Here. All right. Now, this is the reason Hal is here. Last time he wasn't here, we voted him in as chair, and now he's here to defend his job. So, Catherine, I'm going to turn it over to you so we can have our every 2-year election.
Pursuant to KRS 45-790-1, members of the Senate are to elect a Senate member to serve as Senate co-chair of the committee. Is there a nomination from a Senate member for the position of Senate co-chair of the committee?
I'd like to nominate Rick Girdler.
Senator Howell has nominated Senator Girdler. Is there a second from a Senate member?
I'll second that motion.
Seconded by Senator Funky Fromeyer. Is there a motion from a Senate member that nomination cease and that Senator Girdler be elected by acclamation?
So moved.
Motion by Senator Howell. Is there a second from a Senate member?
Yes, I'll second that.
Seconded by Senator Funky Fromeyer. Motion having been made and seconded that nomination cease and that Senator Girdler be elected co-chair by acclamation without objection so ordered. Senator Girdler, congratulations on being elected the new Senate co-chair of the Capital Projects and Bond Oversight Committee.
Thank you. Janice likes it because she might go back to sitting in her chair. I tried to get her one here. Now we need to do the House.
Pursuant to KRS 45-790-1, members of the House are to elect a House member to serve as House co-chair of the committee for a term of 2 years. Is there a nomination from a House member for the position of House co-chair of the committee?
I'll make a motion that we nominate Representative Fraser Gordon as our co-chair.
Representative Thomas has nominated Representative Fraser Gordon. Is there a second from a House member?
Second.
Seconded by Representative Herron. Is there a motion from a House member that nomination cease and that Representative Fraser Gordon be elected by acclamation?
A motion.
Motion by Representative Herron.
Second.
Seconded by Representative Thomas. Motion having been made and seconded that nomination cease and that Representative Fraser Gordon be elected co-chair by acclamation without objection so ordered. Congratulations, Representative Gordon, on being elected the new House co-chair of the Capital Projects and Bond Oversight Committee.
Thank you to my colleagues. I look forward to working with you.
All right. I'm going to, if I don't have, we don't take motions, we're going to take motions, but if we won't do a roll call vote on like the minutes and things of that nature. If anybody objects, then we will take a roll call. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Jason Howell is Senator Howell's motion.
Second.
Second. Co-chair Fraser. All right. Is any member object? All right. Motion approved. We're going to turn it over to Catherine on, these are reports only to start with. So go ahead.
Pursuant to KRS 26A-168-1, KRS 45-793, and KRS 45-818, the Administrative Office of the Courts, the Finance and Administration Cabinet with the Commonwealth Office of Technology reporting independently, and post-secondary institutions managing their own capital construction under KRS 164A-580 transmitted quarterly capital project status reports. The University of Kentucky reported 4 federally funded equipment purchases. The first was the National Science Foundation grant-funded $547,400 vault to house X-ray equipment for EDUS Lab, a cultural heritage and imaging site in the William S. Webb Museum for Anthropology. The second was a U.S. Army Research Office grant-funded $316,400 wire arc additive cell equipment for large-scale component manufacturing at the Center for Robotics and Manufacturing Systems. The next two purchases were from National Institute of Health funding. The first was a $362,800 spectrometer for the small molecule mass spectrometry core laboratory, and the second was an $870,900 small animal radiation research platform for optical imaging for the Department of Radiation Medicine. Pursuant to KRS 45800 Sub 4, the Finance and Administration Cabinet notified the committee that it proceeded with Kentucky Infrastructure Authority transactions submitted last month as procedural concerns have been addressed. Pursuant to KRS 45812-1, 6 school districts, none of which needed an additional tax levy to pay debt service, reported upcoming debt issues for new projects through their fiscal agents. The school districts were Lawrence County, Lincoln County, Lyon County, McCracken County, Muhlenberg County, and Williamsburg Independent. Berea Independent will report through the School Facilities Construction Commission as the transaction was restructured to use a residual SFCC offer of assistance. Pursuant to KRS 45A-182, Western Kentucky University reported its intent to use a construction management at risk project delivery method for its Hilltopper Fieldhouse, Houchin Smith Stadium press construct, renovate, and improve athletic facilities in House Bill 1. Pursuant to House Bill 1, Eastern Kentucky University reported a planned post-secondary education asset preservation pool project. Yes.
Thank you, Catherine. Any questions? All right, we'll proceed on. Ms. Thomas? Janice has got a couple of things, and if I can, I'd like to entertain a motion to roll those two together.
So moved.
Can I get a second? Did we get a second? Oh. All right. Got a first and a second. Anyone object? You may proceed, Janice.
Hello, is it
Yep.
working? Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Janice Thomas, Deputy State Budget Director. In accordance with provisions of KRS 45750 through 45800, I'm presenting two projects for your approval today, and thank you for rolling those together. The first one is the Department for Military Affairs Boone National Guard Center Rear Access Control Point Project Amendment from the previous approved $2 million in May of 2022 to a revised total of $2,263,700 with no change in the fund source split. This project is 75% federally funded in the amount of $1,697,775 from the Military Operations and Maintenance Masters Cooperative Agreement, and 25% state funded in the amount of $565,925 for maintenance pools for a total of $2,263,700. Pursuant to KRS 45760 Sub 7, the Secretary of Finance Administration Cabinet has approved the amendment for this project, and I respectfully request approval by this committee. The second project is an appropriation increase in the amount of $277,000 from restricted funds for the Kentucky Higher Education Assistance Authority Building HVAC and Roof Project. This brings the new total project appropriation to $3,077,000 from restricted funds. The appropriation increase is necessary to cover higher than estimated project bids and represents a 9.89% increase. The scope increase will be funded from the Finance Facilities Building Service Fund. This project was originally authorized as a line item project in the 22-24 Appropriations Act, House Bill 1, for $2.8 million and was funded from excess lottery receipts. Pursuant to KRS 45760 Sub 6, Secretary of Finance Administration Cabinet has approved the increase, and I respectfully request approval of this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Do we have any questions? Representative Petrie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A little over a 9% increase. Is that what is happening on the HVAC and roof for Kia?
Yes.
Just if you know, when was the estimate taken that would have been taken into account for the budget process? How old is the estimate for what that project should have cost?
I don't know specific, but basically when the budget's being prepared, so in July is when they start, I believe, and so by the time it gets done, it's in November of a prior budget.
I've had this issue pop up recently in some other context where we have, and I'm not saying this one is, but where an estimate that we've based a budget on is 1 or 2 years old. Now, HVAC roof, I'm going to assume probably not that old. Would you mind getting to us when that estimate, what
Sure,
estimate
I
was
certainly
used for the
would.
basis of it?
I certainly will.
Are we running into very many, how many of these are we going to run into where we have to go over 10%, 10%, 10%?
I can't give you a specific number, but we're seeing the trend in that area due to a lot of factors that you're well aware of. But I'm happy to, provide you with any questions that you have. I'll be happy
gotcha.
to provide that to you.
Is there any written policy or any kind of guidance about whether a project is approved for a 10% or an increase of any sort over the appropriated amount?
It's dependent. There are a lot of tools in the tool shed for the finance facilities. And I believe Jennifer Linton is on virtually, and she may want to step in here if she wants to. But basically, a lot of the things that they do, if the initial bids go out and they come in over bid, they try to take a look at, is there anything in the project that we can do away with or we can make alterations to try to come within the bid? And that's probably the first step. And then if not, then it will be sent out and rebid. Jennifer, would you like to add anything to that?
No, I mean, I think you've pretty much covered it, Janice. And I mean, you're correct on the timeline of when this estimate was put together. We worked on our biennial budget request, in fall of 2022, right? Or no, fall of 21 for the budget that was passed in the 22 session. So then the project was authorized for July 1 for fiscal year 23. So, I mean, we're a little over a year since that estimate was put together. And like Janice said, I mean, with the factors that we're facing on a lot of our construction projects right now, I mean, I think this is maybe the second project we've brought to you that was a line item project that we've had to increase. And, the statute allows for up to a 15% increase. Like Janice said, there's different tools depending on the source of funds. But so far, this is only the second one out of the line item projects that we've had to bring to request an increase for. We're trying to manage this through the design process. And our consultants have been, looking at cost estimates and looking for ways to save before we go out to bid, so we're not faced with this. But with this project for the Kia building, I mean, the line item project was HVAC and roof. And it was, it was just one of those situations where you can't not do a roof. And so we had to be able to replace that roof. And so that was the reason for the increase on this one.
And I understand that, and not taking any different position on those at this point, but is there any written admin, written policy, statutory guidance about how to sort through projects? And where I'm going is this: if there's not, then how are we going to sort through what projects we're going to approve for an increase, or under current circumstances, are we just going to approve an increase on every project that comes through? Is there some filtering mechanism that says not all projects are going to automatically be granted an increase after we've tried to change scope or do something else?
I'm not aware of a filtering process. Of course, with a project like this, there would have to be a source of funds. And sometimes there's not a source of funds. So, sometimes, a project could either get, shelved until additional funds are available, or, we would have to, significantly cut scope. But we try, like I said, we try to manage this through the design process before we even go out to bid to make sure we're within the appropriated budget. But, as far as I know, Janice, there's not a process. We work together closely with your office of when projects need to be increased. And there's not a written policy on what projects get increased and which ones don't, other than, source of funds.
Very good. That answers the question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions? If I could, I'd like to entertain a motion and a second to approve these.
I'll make the motion.
Got a motion from Brother Walker Thomas.
I'll second.
Second. All right. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Senator Funky Fromeyer,
Yes.
Senator Howell,
Aye.
Senator Webb, Representative Herron,
Yes.
Representative Petrie,
Yes.
Representative Thomas,
Aye.
Co-Chair Fraser Gordon, Chair Girdler.
Yes. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you, Chairman.
All right. We're going to ask Scott to come forward, or is Scott remote? Scott, you out there? Scott Aubrey? Hello, I can see you, Scott. Don't you try to hide on us. Scott? Are you here? You made Jason Howell mad. He's leaving.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. Got it fixed.
We got Scott. We're going to try to roll these two together, Scott. If I can get a first and a second on rolling these two together.
Make the motion.
Got a motion by Representative Frazier. Need a second?
Second.
All right, got a second here.
And which two is it you would like to roll together?
The lease renewal and the new lease.
Okay.
Action item A. Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
First item I have is a lease renewal for the Unified Prosecutorial System in Jefferson County. This lease is being renewed under the same terms and conditions for $16.55 per square foot for 24,233 square feet of office space and goes through June 30th of 2023. The next item is a new lease for the Department of Juvenile Justice in Jefferson County. The agency submitted a space request to, this is for Christian County, my apologies, for an operation of a day treatment center in Christian County. Advertisements were placed which produced one best and final proposal. As a result, the new lease is for 9,923 square feet of space at a rate of $14.85 per square foot, which includes gas, water, and sewer. The total annual cost for this lease is $147,356.56 and is set to expire June 30th of 2030.
All right. Do we have any questions of Scott? All right. Representative Thomas.
Yes, sir. We just noticing that on both of these, the lease amounts, that's the average for that area, is a lot lower than what we're leasing them for. Is there, from $10.61 up to $16.55, and the other $9.28 up to $14.65 or $14.85? Is that just typical, or leases just going up, or?
Leases are going up. The one, of course, also includes some of the utilities, which will drive the cost up generally. The second one there in Christian County. The first one is with the city government, so it's kind of what they set the rates at in order to maintain their facilities and that. But yes, as we do new lease projects, we are getting higher lease rates.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Then I'll entertain a motion and a second to approve these.
Make a motion.
Got Representative Frazier. Made a motion. Second, Representative Thomas. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Funky Fromeyer,
Yes.
Senator Howell, Senator Webb, Representative Herron,
Yes.
Representative Petrie,
Yes.
Representative Thomas,
Aye.
Co-Chair Frazier Gordon, Chair Girdler.
Aye.
Excuse me.
All right. Now you got some information items, Scott.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
You can proceed on those.
Thank you. The next item is a new lease amendment for the Transportation Cabinet in Clay County. The original lease is for temporary housing as needed for families whose houses were damaged by severe flooding that occurred last year. The lease is being amended to reduce the number of lots from 7 to 4, being effective October 1st, 2022. The next item is a new lease amendment for the Transportation Cabinet in Clay County. This original lease was for temporary housing as needed for families whose houses were damaged by the severe flooding. and is being amended to reduce the number of lots from 4 to 3, effective November 1st of 2022. The next item is a new lease amendment for the Transportation Cabinet in Owsley County. The original lease is for temporary housing as needed for families whose houses were again damaged by the severe flooding. This lease is being amended to increase the number of lots from 25 to 26, becoming effective October 1st, 2022. The next item is a Transportation Cabinet lease in Letcher County. Temporary housing was needed for families whose houses were damaged by the flooding that occurred in July of last year. The leased properties provide lots with basic utility hookups to place non-concrete shelters. Therefore, leases are procured through the non-competitive negotiations. As a result, the Commonwealth entered into a lease effective September 1st of 2022 for 36 suitable lots. The lots are leased on a month-to-month basis at a cost of $100 per site per month. The next item is a new lease for the Transportation Cabinet in Letcher County, again for temporary housing needed for families whose houses were damaged by flooding that occurred in July of last year. The leased properties provide sites with basic utility hookups to place non-congregate shelters. Therefore, the leases were procured through non-competitive negotiations. As a result, the Commonwealth entered into a lease effective October 1st, 2022 for 30 suitable lots. These lots are leased on a month-to-month basis at a cost of $100 per site per month. The last item I have is a new lease for the Transportation Cabinet in Pike County. Again, this is for temporary housing for the families whose houses were damaged by flooding that occurred in July of last year. The leased properties provide sites with basic utility hookups to place non-congregate shelters. As a result, the Commonwealth entered into a lease effective September 1st, 2022 for 18 suitable lots, and these lots are leased at no cost.
All right, thank you, Scott. Do we have any questions on that for Scott? All right, thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Miss Sandy Williams is remote. Sandy, you out there?
Good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. You have 6 we're going to roll together, and then we got a House Bill 1 line item that we'll get the last. That be all right?
Yes, sir.
If we can get them to agree to roll the 6. So I entertain a motion to roll these 6 together if possible. Representative Thomas made a motion. How about a second? If you don't second it, we're going to be here all day. I guess we're going to be here all day. Thank you, Representative Petrie. You knew better. We got a second. If there's no objection, we will let her proceed. You go ahead, Sandy.
Thank you, Chairman Girdler and members of the committee. I'm Sandy Williams, Executive Director with the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority. Pursuant to KRS 224A100, the authority submits 6 Cleaner Water Program grants for the committee's review. Of these 6 reallocation requests, 3 are grants for sewer projects and 2 are grants for drinking water projects from round 1 of the Cleaner Water Program from the county allocation pool. And 1 is a sewer project from round 2 of the Cleaner Water Program, and the authority respectfully requests the committee's approval.
All right, we have any questions? If no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Get a motion, Representative Frazier.
Second.
Second, Representative Thomas. Madam Secretary, you please call the roll.
Senator Funky Fromeyer,
Yes.
Senator Howell, Senator Webb, Representative Herron,
Yes.
Representative Petrie,
Yes.
Representative Thomas,
Aye.
Co-Chair Frazier Gordon,
Yes.
Chair Girdler.
Aye. All right, now it passes. Sandy, we're going to go to the House Bill, House Bill 1, which requires no action. Field report.
Yes, sir. Thank you. There is summary information for the 13 line item appropriation projects that are included in your packet. 2 of the projects are sewer related, 11 are water related, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
we have any questions for Sandy? All right.
As,
Oh, you got a question? All
I
right.
apologize,
Got it.
as a new member,
That's all right.
it
Go
could be a
ahead.
freshman question.
All right.
So as we're looking at these 13 line items, we're talking over $20 million. I'm not real familiar with what we're considering here. It's hard for me to acknowledge spending that kind of money without having a better understanding of what we're trying to accomplish.
Yes, ma'am. So the House Bill 1 of the 2022 regular session approved, I believe, just over $50 million of line item appropriations. And those projects were approved by the full General Assembly.
It was put in
For
a,
these amounts that have
statute.
already been specified, these have all been
Yes.
approved.
Yes.
See, it is a freshman question, so I apologize.
no biggie. She's Chris McDaniel's right-hand person. So she's learning early, you know.
Fiduciary is what I like to be called.
All right. I think that's probably it, Sandy. So appreciate your information. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Now we're going to call Brother Barrel. Ryan. We're going to try to roll. Don't need to roll anything. We don't have to roll a barrel.
Well, we may do the SFCC if the chair pleases. But up first, can I start on the
Yep.
previously issued data issuance? This is typical before this entity. Private activity allocation bonds provided by the state to Kentucky Housing Corporation for a multifamily tax-exempt revenue bonds, acquisition, construction, and equipping of 92 units in various addresses within Louisville. This is not an extension of credit by the Housing Corp or the Commonwealth. It's a debt of the developer for net proceeds of $21.5 million. Total project cost just north of $44 million. And information about the borrower, the developer, and the financing team is in the packet.
We have any questions? All right. Now, we got a question. All right, go ahead, Representative Herring.
I have a question. Is this project, is the housing going to be considered affordable housing? Do you know, or what the?
So the tax code calls it low-income housing, but yes, I think it would be known as that. It's basically a tax-exempt borrowing from the government. Typically, there's other key financing tax credits that go into the full package. That's why the borrowing's $21 million. The total project cost $44. We're just reporting on the tax-exempt borrowing that received state allocation. But yes, that is more commonly known what the project is.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, we're going to now try to roll these three SFCCs together. That be all right?
Yes, please.
All right, if we can entertain a motion for a first and a second to be able to roll these together. So moved. All right, got a motion
Second.
by Representative Petrie, second by, who's second? Representative Herring, thank you. All right, you may proceed.
Yes, reporting on 3 transactions that do have state SFCC participation. It's not a major component. Just about 1% of the debt service will be serviced by the state, 99% being local, for 2 new middle schools and high school renovations. These are all new money transactions. We haven't seen refunding in K through 12 in a little bit due to the increasing rates, which we've talked about kind of monthly. We do see some positive movements in terms of rates coming down since the beginning of the calendar year, with more and more economists kind of projecting decreases in the Fed. So we may see some refundings in the future, but these new money transactions There is none that require tax increase to service the debt. So we do respectfully request approval.
Have any questions? If no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Got a motion to Representative Petrie, second. Representative Thomas.
Second. Yep.
All right. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Funky Fromeyer,
Yes.
Senator Howell, Senator Webb, Representative Herron,
Yes.
Representative Petrie,
Yes.
Representative Thomas,
Aye.
Co-Chair Fraser Gordon, Chair Gardler.
Aye. Reported favorable. Next meeting, Miss Deanna Fraser will be our chair, and it's probably going to be February the 21st. We're going to be here, so we can meet anytime we want to, I guess. And so, with that said, can I get a motion to adjourn? So moved. We're adjourned.